Okay, so today I'm reviewing the book Dominion by Father Ripperger, and this Father Ripperger published at the end of 2022. And actually, I initially held off buying this because in a review video, Father mentioned that you should first read the Introduction to the Science of Mental Health before reading Dominion. But if you've watched my other video showing this book, this is over 800 pages. So I'm not quite there yet, but my husband was super sweet and bought me this book, and I'm so glad he did, and I'm glad I didn't wait, because there is so much amazing information in here. This book talks about so many interesting subjects. So for example, angelology, about angelic intelligence, angelic will. It talks about the hierarchy among the angels, and it goes into detail about guardian angels. And so let me show you, for example, it starts on page 51. So the section about guardian angels is really interesting, and Father Ripperger has a great talk on it on Sensus Fidelium, and that was actually one of the first talks I heard by Father Ripperger, and I was just amazed. It's so interesting. So you can learn more about guardian angels here. So for example, he talks about personal guardian angels. He puts all kinds of references, a lot from St. Thomas Aquinas. And so here he talks about other guardian angels. So for example, for pregnant women or those holding important secular office, groups of people, those assuming ecclesiastical offices, in relation to locations, or right here's families. And then he talks about like regions and cities, even like churches. And so that's that part on guardian angels. So let's get back to here. So he goes into demonology, and for example, demonic will, the effect on men, the psychology of demons, structure of authority, adjuration and binding prayers. So this section is really important if you're saying any binding prayers. So it starts on page 115, and there's a section even specifically for husbands and wives, fathers and mothers. Let's see, I'll show it to you. So 115. Okay, so structure of authority. So first he defines it, which is really important, the nature of authority itself. Okay, and then here, the application of the principles of authority to the spiritual warfare and modern theories. Okay, so now here, authority, and starts with bishops. Oh, first. Okay, so here's authority, starts with the Pope, bishops, priests, and then he goes into the natural law, by natural right. So by office, and then, so for example, the husband, and then wives, fathers, mothers, owners, by obligation or duty. And then here's grandparents, non-adopted children, grandparents. And then he talks here about the adjurations and binding prayers. So that is a really helpful section as well. And back to the table of contents. So we were at here, structure of authority. Then chapter 6 about diabolic influence and diabolic oppression. And so there's more about demons. And then here, Father then starts getting into wounds and healing, like forgiveness and different things like that. And then general methods of combat. And this is really important for spiritual warfare, avoidance of sin, prayer, fasting. And then Father gets into talking about the sacraments. And then one of my other favorite sections to reference is about the sacramentals, because I hear all the time really great sermons on sensus fidelium, and or just by Father Ripperger specifically. And I can't remember exactly which talk it was in, because sometimes those gems are just sprinkled in a talk, and it's not necessarily like the title, for example, about holy water or things like that. So I've been using this as a reference, and it has been so helpful. So for example, I was reading about let's see. So I was reading about holy water. I was reading about bells, how you can have them blessed, and the benefits of that. He also talks about the blessing of food and medicine, or the blessing of images and rosaries. So let me show you this part about consumables. Let's see, it's on page 530. And it's so important to always bless our food. And I think many Catholics have the habit of blessing our foods, but what I think we often overlook is actually blessing our medicine and vitamins. And it's also really critical to remember to bless our medicine and or vitamins. And Father gives two important reasons. So let me hold this so you can see it. So there are essentially two reasons why one would bless medicine. The first is that historically, those involved in the occult have been known to be involved in the production of various medicines, homeopathic remedies, etc. It is not uncommon, even these days, to have medicines or various homeopathic remedies cursed by shamans, witches, Satanists, etc. The second reason is that if a particular malady for which the medicine is being taken also has a spiritual component to it, that is, that a demon is afflicting the individual, by blessing the medicine, it will weaken the demon's ability to cause that particular difficulty, and then the medicine will have a greater effect. Blessing of medicines can be found in various rituals. So that is a really important reminder. And for example, also blessing our food. And so Father says, there are many blessings for food in the Rituale Romanum, as well as other rituals. When a person is being afflicted by a demon who is causing gastrointestinal issues, in addition to having the individual drink holy water, it's good to bless his food with the various blessings that are in the ritual to discover which tends to be the most effective. And there are blessings of fruit, cheese, butter, oil, bread, eggs, meat, and blessings for whatever is edible. So that's just like another example of what you can find in here. And then you can find like his references. So he mentioned the Rituale Romanum. And so here he has like the references for the different blessings. So I highly recommend this book. And so I think it's great to go hand in hand with Father Ripperger's Introduction to the Science of Mental Health. If you haven't heard about this book, I have a review on this one, and I will link it down below. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.